Good morning and happy fall, y'all. This is a very busy weekend for us. We've got a ton of projects that we are going to be completing this weekend, so I thought I would bring you guys along and show you a couple of updates on the homestead. We've got a lot of stuff to do, so let's get to it. This is why I love Wyandottes. They are so friendly. We haven't hardly handled him at all, but here he is eating out of my hand. I've never had an aggressive rooster that was a Wyandotte. The death layers, on the other hand, not so much, but Wyandottes are always so sweet. This particular guy is a black laced red. His lacing's not the greatest, but he's got a nice dark red color. You're so sweet, buddy. Fall time also means it's time to move all of our grow outs that we hatched in the spring in with the rest of the flock. Now, I free range my chickens, so this presents a couple of extra challenges. So I just wanted to share with you guys how I've done it. We've been raising chickens for the past 5 years. We are constantly hatching and introducing more birds. So this is just the way that works for us. As always, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but I see people ask this on Facebook all the time, so I thought it would be helpful just to share what works for us. So this little lady we hatched out this spring. This is a splash laced red Wyandotte, and she is absolutely gorgeous. I'm really excited to see how she develops. As you can see, she's got this gorgeous dark red with these beautiful, nice white lacing. Really nice bird. Really excited to see how she turns out. She came from a breeder called Prairie Sage Poultry. They're located in Iowa. We bought eggs off of them. Very happy with everything we've hatched out. She's definitely my favorite though. The splash laced reds are my absolute favorite. The blues are pretty too, but I just love my splashes. So this girl is going to be with me today, as I explained, because she is the next one to get moved out into the free ranging pen. So the first question I see get asked a lot is, when should you introduce young pullets in with an existing flock? And my policy for that is they have to be clucking like a hen as opposed to chirping like a chick. And I don't know what it is, but when older hens hear the chirping of a chick, they're like, you need to get out. Like, I ain't dealing with you. So it makes a huge difference. I don't know what it is, but you're less likely to deal with really severe bullying if they are old enough to be clucking. And then the next thing, I like to wait until they're almost adult sized. This is especially true if you have a adult sized rooster, because if you bring in pullets, he's probably gonna try to breed them. He's gonna stand on top of them. So you wanna make sure their bodies are big enough that they can withstand that without getting injured. She still has some growing to do, but I'm not concerned. We only have cockerels in that pen right now. We don't have any adult roosters, but even if we did, she is big enough that she wouldn't get hurt by a rooster. When you have an existing flock that free ranges every day, that poses an additional challenge. Not only is you're trying to prevent the bullying as they're sorting out the pecking order, but it's also a challenge because whenever you go to free range, you don't know if those chickens are just gonna be on the other side of the yard at night saying, I ain't going in there, I ain't sleeping in that coop. So this is what I do to prevent that. I found whenever I was new to chickens, I spent a lot of evenings running around the yard, chasing and trying to round up all these young chickens to try to force them into the coop to sleep safely. If you leave them out at night around here, we've got coyotes, we've got foxes, we've got owls, so they most likely wouldn't have survived throughout the night. They have to go in at night. So what you have to understand about chickens, and really birds in general, is they are definitely a flock creature. They like to have friends. They do not like to be alone. They're way safer when they're in a large group. They're also creatures of habit, so you have to establish the routine that you want. Otherwise, they're going to develop a bad habit and they're gonna just keep doing it. So if you allow them to sleep in the tree one night or 2 nights, they're gonna keep sleeping in that tree and it's gonna be really hard to break them. So when my new chickens are at the right age and size to introduce them to my flock, I like to go in at twilight when it's just barely light enough for me to see, but it's too dark for them to see. They're easier to catch that way. It's a lot calmer for them. And also the existing chickens will be a lot more accepting if they just wake up to the chicken being there, as opposed to you just throwing them in the middle of the day. They're more likely to be laser focused on that new one and feel like they have to bully it. So the big thing that I do differently compared to what I usually see online is I only introduce 1 chicken at a time. And here's the reason for that. if I have 6 new pullets that I want to introduce, they've already established that those 6 are their own flock and they're comfortable with each other. They've already established their pecking order. They're going to want to stay together. They're not going to want to get introduced to that other flock because those are strange birds. They don't want to mess with the pecking order over there. They're comfortable and happy where they're at. So by introducing them one at a time into the new flock, that is going to force them to separate from their old flock and to force them to integrate into the new one. So my existing flock already has a routine down that in the evening, they wait for me to turn that porch light on and they come running because they know that I'm going to bring them some scratch grain and I'm going to lead them into their coop to sleep. Those new pullets though, if you just release a group of 6, they're going to be clear on the other side of the yard saying, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to find a tree to sleep in. It'll be fine. We're just going to leave them alone and just do our own thing. So you want to avoid that. And it makes it way easier to get them to go up at night because they're going to follow the girls who already know the routine. When they see them just walk right into the coop to go roost, they're going to be a lot less frightened to do that. They're just going to go ahead and do it. So just to recap, I will grab 1 new chicken right at dark. I will set them inside the actual coop. I will set them on a roost. The reason why I do that, our setup is we have a coop that is always open and it's attached to a run, and the run is completely enclosed, and that's what we close at night. That is my favorite setup. All of our coops are set up that way. The reason why I go ahead and put them in the coop as opposed to the run is I want them to know that they can go in there. It forces them to be in there and to go out. That way they know that they can go in there because a chicken instinctively is not going to want to go into a small dark hole. It's not instinctually what they want to do because it could be dangerous in there. So if they've already been there once because I've put them there, they will be more likely to go back in, especially whenever they see their new friends go in there to roost. So I'll put them in there the first night, and usually what I'll do is I will not free range the next day, and then they'll spend another night in the coop, and then the day after that is when I will free range them again. Ideally, if your coop and run have enough space where you can comfortably keep your chickens locked up for up to a week, that would really ensure that they've developed that routine. They're really comfortable with all spaces of the coop. That would be ideal, but I found that bare minimum 2 nights in 1 day is enough to establish that routine, get them comfortable enough to where they'll go in on their own, where you don't have to catch them or chase them in there. So yeah, that is our system. That's how we are going to introduce her tonight. So I wish I could take you guys with me and show you how I do it, but the time that I do it, it's so dark, the camera is not gonna pick up on it. And I don't really like using flashlights. I find it freaks the birds out. And also on camera, me using a flashlight to do this, it's gonna look like Blair Witch Project. So I don't wanna do that. It's easiest just for me to explain it. But yeah, so that's our system. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, but this is what has worked out well for us. I forgot to mention that we do this process for ducks as well. If we were to introduce a large group of ducks, they would want to spend the night out on the pond instead of going up in the coop at night. So this process works for ducks as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this lady back up until tonight when it's her turn to go. And let me show you what our garden area looks like. So probably the biggest update I have for you guys is this mess right here. We are moving our garden from back here by the greenhouse. You can see we have let it go. And we are moving it inside this chain link area. This area was originally for a dog. We've been using it for our geese. And the plan is to do raised beds all around the perimeter. You can see we just tilled it. It was really uneven, so we figured that was just gonna be the easiest way to level out that ground. And the ducks are having a jolly good time looking for worms in that freshly tilled area. Yeah, so it's gonna have metal raised beds all around the perimeter. You can see we've got one set up already with our strawberries. And then in the center is where we're gonna put our corn and probably things like maybe potatoes. So it looks really bad right now, but it is going to look awesome whenever it is done. And hopefully it is going to greatly increase the productivity of our garden, make it a lot easier to maintain. And I'm trying to make it look a lot cuter out here since it is chain link. So we added this trellis here, and in these pots I planted a couple of clematis plants. They were the only plants I could find locally that were flowering and vining. However, something came along and plucked them out, which is very unfortunate. You guys wouldn't know anything about that, would you? It was you, wasn't it? Yeah, so anyways, I ended up having to replace those clematis, and so we ended up ordering some wisteria from Stark Brothers, and I filmed that unboxing because this was our first order from the Stark Brothers, so we will show you that now. So here's our box. It looks like it had a little bit of a rough trip, but it made it through okay. They did ship very quickly. I was very happy with that. And it did get delayed in the mail by either 1 or 2 days, but that's just the way that the mail is right now, unfortunately, so that's to be expected. But as you can see, the plants came in really nice condition. They were in 4-inch pots, which was what I ordered. This is an Amethyst Falls wisteria. So as you can see, nice and green. I look at the soil here in a minute. The soil was still not super wet, but it was still a little bit moist, so that was very good. Even with the longer delivery time, it still came in really good condition. And here's the second one, and this one is a Blue Moon wisteria. Again, a 4-inch pot, and it came in really nice condition as well. So yeah, very happy with Stark Brothers. For both of these, including shipping, it ended up being $51 and some change. So it's a little bit pricey. The shipping was $9.99. They have flat rate shipping, which is nice. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. They came in good condition. If you've seen my previous videos, I've had bad luck with online nurseries before, but this one, it was not bad. So we were pretty happy with our Stark Brothers purchase. However, I see on Facebook all the time people recommending them for fruit trees, which I can't speak to that. I've never ordered a fruit tree off of them, but I have looked on there and I've seen their prices. And for a 1.5 to 3 foot tall peach tree, their prices start at $60 a piece, and that doesn't include shipping. So pretty pricey. I've heard good things though, so I think they're pretty good quality. But I did just want to show you this tree. We just picked this up from our local Rural King, which Rural King is a Midwestern farm store. I think they're only in a few states, but this tree is about 6 foot tall. They had several different varieties. I'm not sure which variety this was. I took the tag off to bring it into the store to pay, and I didn't keep it. But they had several different varieties. They have a ton of different fruit trees there, and this thing is 6 foot tall, and they only asked $29 for it. So compared to Stark Brothers, you're getting twice as much tree for half the price. So definitely recommend, if you're within driving distance of a Rural King, to check it out. Bought this peach tree to replace this white pine that died here. Our pond is lined with white pines, which come to find out, this is the worst possible place to have planted a bunch of white pines. We did some research because they've been dying one by one. They're about 10 to 15 years old, and come to find out, white pines do not like clay soil, which is what we have, and they also don't like a lot of moisture. They are susceptible to a bunch of different types of fungal infections that you really can't do anything about. So that's what my research has said so far. If you know anything otherwise, please let me know in the comments. But we're anticipating to lose all of these trees eventually over the course of the next couple of years. And the plan is to replace them all with fruit trees. I don't want to put any more ornamentals in the yard when we can plant something that is just as beautiful but helps provide for our family. Alrighty, that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.